Hey there, guys. So I was having a conversation the other day with one of the guys that I coach. His goal was to hit, 3 plates aside, aka 140 kilos on the bench press. And he was just asking questions like, in the scheme of things, is that considered strong? Compared to like commercial gyms, you're probably not going to see 3 plates aside in many of the commercial gyms. When it comes to like powerlifting gyms and strongman gyms, 3 plates aside, that's very sort of common. Best analogy I sort of gave him was in the strength game, like more specifically powerlifting. 3 plates aside, that's sort of like, your black belt in martial arts. Most people, common gyms, they'd probably think, 3 plates aside, black belt, wow. But the reality is, just like a black belt, you've just put in all the work, you've mastered, or you should have mastered, the basics, and now the real journey begins. The reality is, 3 plates aside is nothing special in the strength world. It's just sort of like the entry level into, okay, now you're a powerlifter. Now the real journey begins. And that's not to, put anyone down or just, trample anyone. It's just like an honest, reflection of the sport and how far it's, changing. The competition that, I was at on the weekend, we got the 75 kilo girls now. The lady who won, she benched 145 kilos in the 75 kilo class. So it gives you an idea of just how far the sport is coming. When I say 3 plates, I'm talking to, the original old school 20 kilo plates. It's not going to be too far in the future that 3 plates are just going to be considered, 3 red plates, and all of a sudden it's up to 170 kilos as opposed to the 140. And then, same sort of deal with, squats, entry level strength, the same equivalent of the bench. You're looking at minimum 4 plates or 180 kilos, and deadlift, 5 plates, 220 kilos. To the average person, those numbers might sound ridiculous, but from, my perspective, especially as a coach, I've coached plenty of people to 3 plates, for bench press, plenty of people to 4 plates on squats, and heaps of people to 5 plates on deadlifts. It really is like the entry level into a more serious, path of strength. And, a lot of people forget, they go to gym, they think they're going to get really strong after, 6 months. But if you use the same analogy of like, 3 plates being the black belt, people spend, 3-4 years trying to master the skills and get there. It's the same thing, with powerlifting. It's not going to happen overnight. Hitting, your 3 plates and then your 4 plate on squat and stuff like that, it's very achievable. Just most people don't put the work in, the 3-4 years and get good at something. Like, anything related to drawing for me, I'm absolutely terrible at. I got no skill in it whatsoever. But it's the same thing, if I put 3 or 4 years into, that skill set, I'm sure I'd be able to put something together that's, the average person would say, oh, that's really, really good. But then you give it to a professional, and it's just like, okay, you've hit, the entry level of, what they class entry level of professionalism. You're still at the very, very base of the tree in terms of professionalism, but at least, you're there. And same holds true, with that 3 plates on bench press. Now, considering that and then going back to like a commercial gym and the rest of it, it also, depends on what your goals are. If you just want to be classed by the average everyday person as really strong, then yes, by all means, 3 plates is going to have you there. Same with 4 plates on the squat and 5 plates on the deadlifts. If you can put that all together, have, the ability to, run, and you're relatively fit, you're going to end up with a very, very good physique that, 99.9% of the population are going to be very envious of. Powerlifting, a lot of us, we just keep chasing bigger and better numbers. We don't tend to put as much, I've hinted on this before, effort into fitness, cardio, and maintaining body fat levels. If you decide to, pursue the strength journey, it's just, something that you enjoy doing. Everyone has their each thing that they enjoy. For me, it's strength. However, I still want to look like an athlete. So in this rebuild, obviously, I'm going to lean out, do a lot more fitness and conditioning stuff because it's going to help more long term. But getting back to the 3 plates, that's your entry level into strength sports. And, obviously speaking for guys. For women, I'd probably say like realistically 2 plates. some people might go, 100 kilos is ridiculous. The reality is no, the sport has progressed so far, and there are so many females I know that can bench 100 kilos or more, or even 100 kilos for reps. You'll look at it again, they've put 3-4 years into, training, getting stronger. Technique makes a massive difference as well, developing a quality arch, nothing ridiculous, but just a quality arch. So your chest is elevated, your scapula are retracted, your shoulders are in a protected position, working on stuff like your back to help with stability, training your shoulders so they're more stable under load, putting effort into training forearms and just arms in general so that your elbow joints are more stable under load. It is not difficult. It just requires proper programming, taking a longer term approach. 3 years in the scheme of things to be, considered really good by general population, that's a very small trade-off. If you look at it in terms of like university degrees and things like that, 3-4 years and people class you as a specialist. Like, it is what it is. People, oh wow, you can do this. You spend 5-6 years and you become like a doctor, or near enough. You still got to put in a little bit extra, but 8 years of, say, education into one thing is going to class you as a specialist. You put 8 years into nearly anything and you're going to get really good at what you're doing, providing you're actively trying to be good at it. If you're just going through the motions, you'll pretty much get nowhere. And that's a lot of people at the gym. You'll see it yourself. You'll come back 6 months later to a commercial gym, you'll see the same person, they're lifting the exact same weight. They have no guidance. They really don't know what they're doing. In a way, you could almost sort of say the same thing with working, a general job. You could be in the job for 20 years doing whatever profession it is. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be really, really good at it. But if you're actively trying to upskill, learn the ins and outs of that industry, find out what else you need to be competitive, what you need, to get the step up above to that higher position, and you take that mindset, then yeah, you're going to get really, really good at the job that you do. So for a lot of you that are watching and going, oh, 3 plates still sounds really ridiculous and hard, if you just put a little bit of effort and, go and find a coach, find someone that can help you progress, you're going to get from point A to point B far, far quicker. But you're also going to learn a lot of, skills that are going to add to your lifting longevity, keep you injury free. And, that's just general knowledge you're going to have. And, you can pass it on to, family, friends, your kids. It's always a skill. Learning something is always going to be useful. So, yeah, that's just my take on it. All my clients, that I've coached, the rest of it, when I use that analogy of, 3 plates aside, is just entry-level black belt. In the scheme of things, yeah, they all sort of go, yeah, that's really relevant. And it just changes your perspective on things. If you guys haven't already, hit like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, have a great day wherever you are.